welcome back. Later on, Mike the Cat Brewer fulfills a dream at Crystal Palace's Football Academy, and I'll be winding down in the new Honda Civic. But first, Jason turns Mike to jelly in our supercar handling test.
Now, most of the 4,000 BMW Z8s built this year will be sold to the States, where cruising down straight roads looking pretty is the only requirement for average millionaire driver.
But in Europe, we have these pesky little things in the road that we call bends. So we're going to see how well our Driven 100 cars handle the curvy bits as well as the straight and narrow.
All this week's high-performance cars come with traction control systems, sophisticated electronic safety devices which cut the power to the wheel and stop you losing control if you put your foot down too enthusiastically. But they're all set up differently and can be oversensitive or cover up a real heap of trouble. So, what's safe and fun with traction control on?
It goes like a bullet. It's a good fun car to drive, actually. The Porsche's traction control PSM is just superb. It's really unintrusive. Whatever you throw at the car, it sorts it out. Including a bit of lift-off oversteer. Right, so we're in the Jaguar XKR. It's fast, isn't it? But I'll tell you what, it has got a fabulous engine. Now, flat out, traction control's doing its work.
It's good, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it does. The electronics are quite clever, but it just feels very heavy, very light steering. It feels more of a cruiser than a sports car.
With traction control on, the Porsche is the most fun around the test track, with the BMW marginally more responsive than the Jaguar.
But for round 2 of our handling test, we've got a treat for those who prefer their driving experience undiluted.
Right, this time, 400 brake horsepower through the rear wheels with no traction control or driver's aid. And I've got to tell you,
I'll tell you what, it's good though, it's good fun.
Oh, you can feel it turning much quicker.
We like this car.
Oh my God. We took it out. We're doing 70 miles an hour in the States. Oh, back comes out.
Come on. It's much more fun, and it gives you the car back, because when the traction control kicks in, it does take the car away from you. The throttle doesn't work anymore, it does all sorts of strange and wonderful things, but when you turn it off, it's your car again.
Right, this time we've got 300 brake horsepower, but we've got the benefit of 4-wheel drive, but no PSM, programmable stability management, in this car. Whoa!
Tell you what, it's just very understeering.
That's understeer, doesn't it?
Understeer.
It just goes to show you how good the traction control is in this car. Look at that, neutral handling, it's fantastic. When it is on, it feels so unobtrusive. It doesn't cut in like the BMW and cut the engine dead. It feels like the chassis is doing the work, and that's where they've scored highly on this car.
Right, so we're in the Jaguar XKR. We've got traction control off.
370 bhp through the rear wheels this time. Hey! Jason, be careful! Jason! Oh my God! I tell you what, mate, you think you have more fun in this than you were in the other two.
I tell you, probably because it's quite a heavy car. Once it gets on the move, it's on the move, so you've got to keep a hold of it. It's quite good fun to drive, actually. But what I would say is it's better in a manual position in the gearbox than on an auto.
This goes to show how good that traction control system is again, because when it was switched on, it cut everything away in the car. It made it very safe and very neutral. Now all of a sudden, it's a lifesome, skittish thing. It's a handful to hold, isn't it, really?
It is a bit of a handful.
With traction control off, picking a winner for this test is tough. The 4-wheel drive Porsche has the best driving dynamics overall. However, the rear-wheel drive Jag and BMW will still bring a smile to the enthusiast face with their tail-happy tendencies.
Every 4 years we have the Olympics, a leap year and a US presidential election. And usually, yep, right on time, a new Honda Civic. Civics have a reputation for being solid, dependable and reliable, bought by sensible people, usually in retirement. But the new Civic is different. Built in Swindon with 3 or 5 doors and exported back to Japan, Honda are hoping that finally it will appeal to younger families. It's quite a departure for Honda. Sharp 21st century design with a touch of Ford Focus maybe. Expansive glass, curves, edges, goggle-eyed headlamps suggest Toyota Yaris meets Caddy A3. Despite the obligatory shade of Japanese grey in here, the dashboard has a very family-friendly white clean surface. But the cleverest thing of all is the gear stick. They've mounted it right in the centre of the dashboard. The positioning is absolutely spot on and it gives a very clean, direct, sporty gear change. Honda say they've done it to free up the floor space and that it's actually easier to use. The real reason, however, is the imminent arrival of a 7-seater MPV where space is more of an issue. Looking at it, you could say that this Civic 5-door is halfway to an MPV already, but the saloon and the coupe versions will have a conventional gear shift on the floor. There'll also be a 3-door version pitched as a sportier drive and a hot Type R version pitched at the families that are always late getting the kids to school. The rear seats split 60-40, giving a particularly large and flat loading area, and the Civic's loading capacity is bigger than anything else in its class. Honda really seem to have sorted out driving positions, and the new Civic is no exception. It's brilliantly comfortable. The steering, though, is incredibly light, and for me, there's not enough feel, but for the people that this car is aimed at, I think it'll go down very well. It's brilliant for the city. Honda engines have a reputation for needing to be pushed hard, but the Civic's 1.4 and 1.6 has been re-engineered for more torque at lower revs. And what's more, Honda claim that both will do 50 miles per gallon in combined driving. My choice will be the 1.6 with Honda's acclaimed VTEC engine, which has a much sportier feel. With a few little reservations, I think Honda have done a really good job with the new Civic. It's innovative and it is ideal for a family. So what on earth are they going to come up with in 2005?
Has this week's Driven 100 inspired you to go for a classy convertible? Check out 4car.co.uk for our bargain price finder which picks the best deals around, plus a rundown of our favourite second-hand soft tops.
None of this week's Driven 100 cars are cheap, and we reckon they're aimed squarely at the young successful person who's got a few quid and wants to show it off. So welcome to the world of professional football.
So let's see if the Porsche is just a half-time lemon.
Who wants to have a sit inside? Now, don't you think it looks a little bit like a pot of Coleman's mustard inside?
What's the sound system like in this one, do you know?
It's very good. You get a 5-speaker, I think, in this one.
Seriously, when you push it one of these cars, yeah, your boys will be impressed with you.
When you're pushing it?
Yeah, when you push one of these cars, you'll be...
What, if it runs out of petrol or something?
No.
Can I say hi to my mum in this?
You can do. Hello, Mum.
Hi, Mum.
It still looks like an original hardtop Porsche.
If I had a choice, I'd have a different colour interior, but it is really nice.
Thumbs up for the Porsche.
Yeah.
Let's see if it's thumbs up for the BMW.
What's the security like on this?
Well,
One teeth.
You ain't ever breaking into this, Craig.
well,
I think it could do with a telly though, little telly.
What do you reckon of that? Roof up?
I think that's a mirror, man. That's got a sleek alignment. Like, it's a bit of a bubble.
It's got a bit of a bubble top, so you like the sleeker lines of the Porsche.
It's kind of like a background car, it's just like all nice and flashy. I like these kind of cars still. It's live, this car's heavy.
it's live and it's heavy, that's official.
Well, the Jag's pretty heavy too. Almost 2 tons, actually.
What's the first thing a Jaguar says? Old man's car.
I don't like the dash, the wood. They don't go with each other. Right. Yeah. Same colour.
Not quite so enthused about this car, are we?
No, everyone seems a bit glum. We're meant to be looking at cars, Dobbsy. Inside, guys?
I know, this is perhaps more our car, you know. Like,
It's perhaps more your car.
yeah, it's a bit more cool rather than being flash for sake of it.
They like it roof up and roof down, but it's not really their image of car. They'd rather go for a younger man's car unless they was a... How about if you was a slightly posh footballer?
I don't know, what, 160, 70,000 pounds worth of hardware here, and the guys are more interested in how much they rev and how loud the stereos are. That's our future.
I tell you what, I'm beginning to love this car.
Right, the Crystal Palace Academy have had to go round each of our cars, but it's time for them to vote which one they most desire. Right then, guys, run around now. Loads over here. How many? Only one by the Jag, 4 for the BMW, but look at that on the Porsche, 8.
So our budding Beckhams rate the sleeker lines of the Porsche above the Bond-inspired BMW. And the Jag, well, perhaps this one's for the football stars of the past, not the future. Now it's time to score our cars in the Driven 100 and find our favourite of the three. And we're going to start with the Porsche and drivability.
To be honest, this is the most fun to drive if you like everything under control.
So it's got to be right up there.
It is. With well set up traction control and grippy four-wheel drive, it scores an excellent 23.
The BMW's a bit skittish.
But once it gets going, jeepers, it is so blindingly fast.
The only thing I'm disappointed about is only available in left-hand drive, which doesn't make it that drivable for a lot of people.
Great for trips abroad, though. It gets 21. And the Jag?
Great engine.
It's not as drivable as the other two, I don't think.
Drivable here, but it's still great fun.
The only thing I'm disappointed about is it needs a pipe rest.
You should give up smoking, mate. A nicotine-free 19. Now, hands up, who wants a Porsche?
Very desirable car.
Yes.
Apart from
The hideous interior.
Yeah. But lose the mustard seat, a hot 23.
And the Z8?
Yeah, I should think it's on every rich person who's got a few quid and once has showed it's got a few quid's wish list.
I'd rather have an M5 and stick 30 grand in the
Now
bank.
you're talking. £30,000 more than an M5 with the same engine and same gearbox.
It's academic. They've all been sold for now. 22.
But what about the Jag?
It's the least desirable of the three.
It's
However,
still very desirable.
I would imagine 1,000 people out there are going, what do you want about it, Mike? It's fantastic, I want one.
After all, the Jaguar name is still a status symbol. 20. Now practicality and the Porsche.
This touch I like very much. And you fold both seat backs down and then you've got a nice little loading space.
And it's got under bonnet storage. 14. And the BMW?
There is a bit of space here where you can get an attache case or some nice sheets of A4 paper or a jotting pad.
Only room for 2, but the boot's pretty big.
It's funny though, it looks like a Ford boudoir.
It scores a deep pile, 13. And the XKR?
Now these seats are in the normal driving position. This is for people who have no lower body.
But the boot's enormous. The Jag scores a golf bag friendly 15.
Finally, cost of ownership, and bear in mind a Lotus Elise costs 54 pence a mile.
I spent £60,000 on a car, and when it's driving towards me, looks exactly the same as a £35,000 from Foxter.
Costing £1.41 per mile, it deserves a dismal 7. And if you think that's bad, check out the Beamer.
£1.80 a mile.
£1.80 a mile, that's more than a black cabinet in London.
And you can fit 5 in a black cab, and that's all the Z8 gets.
To buy the Jag, you'll need over 60 grand.
Is that just not too much money?
I just think this is... Oh, I'm going to hate myself saying I'd pay 35 grand for this car.
In 3 years, you'll be able to. With depreciation, this car costs £1.45p a mile to run and scores the same as the Porsche.
And now, to calculate the final score for our cash-consuming convertibles. In joint second place this week, a fine cruiser, but compromised by cost of ownership. The Jaguar XKR gets 61.
With the same score, the Z8 couldn't quite live up to the hype, but it's still a grin a minute at a price.
And in first place, everyone should own one once, the Porsche 911 Carrera 4 is consistently cool and scores 67.
At the beginning of this week's group test, we fully expected the BMW Z8 to trounce the other two cars, but it didn't. Despite the hype, it was still outshone by the Porsche's proven ability and classic appeal. And that's why this week's winner is the Porsche 911 Carrera 4. We'll see you next week.
Next week on Driven, 3 of the most innovative mini MPVs around. The Dolphin-like Fiat Multipla and a hot rod known as a PT Cruiser take on the all-new Nissan Almera Tino.
And for more information on those stories and to win a sports car for a weekend, visit the 4Car website at 4car.co.uk.